Hi, and welcome to this episode of John's Model Kit Review. In today's fun model kit review video, we'll be looking at the Hasegawa Typhoon Mk.1B in 1/48 scale. This is Hasegawa kit number JT59. In this review video, I'll give a little bit of the history of the Mk.1B Typhoon, specifically in regards to its service in the North African theater. We'll look at the built-up kit, and we'll talk about the surface detail on the exterior of the kit, as well as the fit of the major parts of the aircraft. We'll go through the kit instructions, and we'll talk about any problem areas to watch out for during the construction phase of the build. We'll look at the color and marking options that are included in the kit, and we'll talk about the decals and the performance of those as well. We'll take a look at the clear parts and talk about the clarity and the fit of those. We'll also take a look at the detailing on the smaller parts that are included for this kit, and that includes the landing gear parts and the cockpit interior parts as well. As of this video, this is the only Typhoon Mk.1B in 1/48 scale available. In this review, we'll try to answer the question, even though this is an older kit and one that was originally released in the late 90s, is this classic kit still worth building? I really enjoyed building this kit and researching the desert camouflage scheme for the trials aircraft, and the only decals that I used that weren't found in the original kit were the decals for the tail code on this particular aircraft. Towards the end of May in 1943, 3 Hawker Typhoons were sent for operational flight trials in the Middle East. These Typhoons were sent to 451 Squadron of the Royal Australian Air Force. During the trials, the aircraft were to be used on operations while carrying out the necessary trials under sand conditions. They were to be called upon to carry out interceptions, etc. in the ordinary way, but they were not to be vectored out of gliding distance from land until such times as they had completed 100 hours of engine time. After the trials, and subject to the trials being a success, the aircraft would be used as fully operational and could then be vectored outside gliding distance of land. As you can imagine, a complex aircraft like the Typhoon with its H-24 engine didn't fare very well in the harsh desert climate. The 3 airframes were often grounded due to lack of spares, since there really weren't any in that theater of operations. The general view of the Typhoon was one of great admiration for the aircraft. The likes included the 400 mile an hour level flight speed at 18,000 feet of altitude, a dive speed of 525 miles an hour, the superb view out of the canopy, and the light and sensitive controls. The 3 trials Typhoons were then ferried to 161 Maintenance Unit on the 23rd of October of 1943. This was the end of the Royal Australian Air Force Typhoon operations. At this point, 451 Squadron converted fully to the Spitfire Mark V-C. The serial numbers of the 3 Typhoons that were sent to North Africa were R8891, DN323, and EJ906. And this is the aircraft that I chose to model. Looking at the instructions, step 1 really covers the interior and the assembly of the interior. A decal is provided for the instrument panel. And we'll take a look at what's visible through the canopy here. I did add some Edward photo etch seatbelts to the interior, and those look really nice. Step 2 really covers the only problematic area of this kit, and specifically that is the mounting of parts J4, J2, and J1 to the fuselage halves. I would highly recommend mounting those parts separately to each fuselage half and then joining the fuselage halves together. Take your time on these parts, dry fit them, try to get the fit as good as possible because you're going to spend a lot of time cleaning up these parts prior to paint. Unfortunately, the join lines do not fall on natural panel lines, and so they need to be filled, and then the panel lines that are there and supposed to be there need to be rescribed. Step 3 is just installing the upper wings to the lower wing. I deviated from this step by actually gluing the upper wings to the fuselage first to get an excellent wing to fuselage join. Step 4 just covers mounting the wings to the fuselage and the tail planes to the fuselage. This went fine. Steps 5 and 6 just cover the landing gear and gear doors on the kit. We'll take a look at some of these detail parts. The gear doors themselves are relatively simple, but they look nice. They'll look good with some paint and weathering on them. These are the landing gear legs. These will really turn out nice as well. There's not an excessive amount of detail in the landing gear bays, but again, with some detail painting, this should look fine. In step 7, we're just adding some more detail parts. In steps 8 and 9, we're just assembling the bombs and the main wheels. And the detail on the main wheels looks nice. I like the fact that these are flat spotted already. In step 10, we're just adding the bombs, the wheels, and the cannons to the kit. Step 11 covers the prop, and step 12 covers installing the clear parts. And you just want to make sure which option you want to do, if you want to pose the canopy open or closed. The clear parts themselves are very clear. They look nice. I like the option to pose the canopy open if desired. You can see there's decent clarity through the clear parts here into the finished cockpit. Taking a look at the decals, all of these really look nice. There's only a couple of white decals, and they're kind of the typical Hasegawa cream, but there's so few on this kit, I don't think that's going to be an issue. Moving on to the marking and painting guide, there are 2 marking options. The first marking option is for an aircraft flown from number 175 Squadron. There are quite a few historical photos of this aircraft online, and those would be a helpful reference. And the second option is an aircraft from number 198 Squadron. The marking guide also has plan views of the upper and lower surfaces of the aircraft. And this is pretty clear. It's just a matter of taking your time painting and decaling the aircraft. Looking at the surface detailing on the kit, what is there is very nice. It's very consistent. It's petite. It will look good under a coat of paint. I wouldn't mind a little bit more rivet detail, but it's a simple kit, and you can add some of that detail with your weathering techniques at a later point. In conclusion, I think this is still a really nice kit. The only problem areas to watch out for on this aircraft are the inserts that are just below the cockpit canopy. There's really no getting around this. They simply need to be installed as best as possible and then filled and sanded until you get a nice finish here and the original panel lines rescribed. The decals look excellent. The instructions are clear and easy to follow. The clear parts on the kit have very nice clarity. The detail on the interior is nice as well. It's not a heavy parts count in this kit. And the overall kit really turns out nicely. This is certainly an appropriate kit for somebody with a few kits under their belt. Well, I'd love to know what you guys think. If any of you have built Hasegawa's Typhoon Mk.1B, please feel free to share in the comment section below. As always, I hope you found this video entertaining and informative, and until next time, model on.